I write a manifesto and I want nothing. Yet I say certain things, and in principle I'm against manifestos, as I'm also against principles. The principle, love thy neighbor, is an hypocrisy. Know thyself is utopian but more acceptable, since it embraces wickedness. No pity. Even after this carnage, we still retain the hope of a purified mankind. I speak only for myself, since I do not wish to convince. I have no right to drag others into my river. I am against action. For continuous contradiction, for affirmation too, I am neither for nor against. And I do not explain because I hate common sense. Some people think they can explain rationally, by thought, what they think. But that is extremely relative. Psychoanalysis is a dangerous disease. It puts to sleep the anti-objective impulses of man and systematizes the bourgeoisie. The dialectic is an amusing mechanism which guides us in a banal kind of a way to the opinions we had in the first place.
Which I find unnecessary. And I think, I don't know, but this is a difficult position because I've been in it all the time and still want to get rid of it, you see. And I cannot explain everything I do because I do things or people do things and don't know why they do it.
We called this technique photomontage as it demonstrated our aversion to pretending to be artists as engineers, the style of a mechanic.
Dadaism originated in 1916 at Hugo Ball's Cabaret Voltaire in Zurich, Switzerland. The movement began with the release of the first Dada Manifesto and lasted for 8 years until it was dissolved in 1924. Dadaism was the first reactive movement, protesting the brutality and senselessness of the First World War. It had rejected society's idea of what art should be. It sought to be the opposite of art, the anti-art. Dada artists believed that it was intellect and rationale that had led to World War I. As such, created meaningless, nonsensical, and irrational art. There is no specific origin of the term. Dada may come from the French term that means hobby horse, or maybe 2 nonsensical syllables. Key figures in this movement were Hugo Ball, Hans Arp, Francis Picabia, Hannah Hawk, Man Ray, and Tristan Tzara, who was the principal spokesman for the Dadaism movement. He wrote 7 manifestos and 3 plays, one of which was L'Amour cherche une maison à louer. The Admiral is looking for a house to rent. It was a stimulus group poem performed by Ball, Hasselbeck, Tzara, and Jancourt. Because of how shocking and offensive society found Dadaism, it was widely publicized and spread to other countries and cities in Europe and the United States. To Dadaists, insanity seems to be the world's true state. The Dadaists sought in their actions to replace logic and reason with calculated madness, and in their art would substitute discord and chaos for unity and balance. It was an unusual way to express feelings with things that didn't necessarily go together. It doesn't completely make sense at first, but that was the point. Dada's goal was to make you feel an emotion or thoughts that you've never felt before in a very erotic way. It was presented in a number of programs composed of lectures, readings, sound poems, dances, visual art, and short plays. In 1924, Dadaism was becoming more acceptable and more mainstream, which was completely against what it stood for. Although Dadaism was dissolved and many of its artists became involved with other movements, Dadaism still seems to live in the pits of surrealism and social realism. Dadaism was probably the most difficult area of theater there was, and it was a difficult challenge in finding a monologue, so I decided to follow a technique that Tristan Tzara developed himself.
To make a Dadaist poem, take a newspaper, take a pair of scissors. Choose an article as long as you are planning to make your poem. Cut out the article. Then cut out each of the words that make up the article and place in a bag. Shake gently. Then take out each of the scraps, one after the other, in the order in which they left the bag. Copy conscientiously. The poem will be like you. And here you are, a writer, infinitely original and endowed with a sensibility that is charming, though beyond the understanding of the vulgar.